was that? What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weird and Whatever podcast. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Very nice.
It's been breezy AF lately.
Breezy AF.
Hence why he's wearing a hat.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. My power's been out all day.
Your power has it?
So some people lost power last night, weirdly.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah, there were traffic lights out too.
Yeah, this morning there was flickering lights.
Now the date today is what, October 4th? Is that what today is?
Yes.
It is very Halloweeny out right now. Have you guys noticed that? The wind,
love the weather right now.
the clouds, it's very scary.
Well, the rain's so intense and then windy, it almost sucks some of the humidity out and it cools off. It's like perfect.
Yeah, we actually may get a few kind of Halloweeny days in October. That can happen every now and then. I know it's going to be hot as balls.
It hovers around the 31st. That's when you start really noticing the weather change, in my personal opinion.
Are you guys fans of Halloween?
Yeah, I am. I think that's when this podcast should thrive, is during the Halloween season.
I agree.
I love Halloween.
Mr. Beckett came in with a critique from one of his friends. They said that we don't talk about anything scary anymore. So, okay, let's get into it. What kind of scary, murderous things you want to get into?
Oh, man. I don't know.
You guys saw the one story about the Wellington clown?
No.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
The cold case. It was a cold case. I believe it was 1990. Forgive me if I'm...
Yep, it was.
1990, a woman got gunned down by a clown in broad daylight.
Showed up with balloons in their hand.
And shot her.
Weird.
Yeah, and then they finally have an arrest with it. And I'm really so fascinated by cold cases. And there's a ton in Palm Beach County. Vicky, are you born and raised Palm Beach County? If not, where's been your whole...
I was born right at Bethesda Hospital in Boynton Beach.
That's awesome. Okay, so you'll probably... You're familiar with some of the cold cases here in Palm Beach County?
A few.
Do you remember when the clown thing went down?
I remember vaguely about it. You know what blows my mind is it seems like the same evidence they had then, they have it now, only just like maybe one little tiny thing, and it's taken them this long to make an arrest.
They said that they put off cases like that sometimes if they think they can convict them, but they don't have a way of proving the evidence 100% beyond reasonable doubt.
For example, let's say they do have some pretty good evidence on somebody. They know who the killer is. I think this happens with a lot of cold cases where they do have a good idea who that number one person of interest is, but they don't have that slam dunk, piece of evidence to say, because if they do take it to court, they go to trial, and they do not have that smoking
if they lose,
gun.
they can't be tried again for
Nope.
that.
No double jeopardy, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, because we asked the same kind of questions. Well, they're the same kind of evidence. They thought that if they thought they knew then what they know now, they want to make sure they have this stuff. And I think that is a big part of a lot of these cold cases.
Well, that other piece was DNA, correct?
Yes, it was DNA.
Yeah. It's fascinating when cold cases get figured out, like a long time afterwards, and they figure out the case.
Oh, this is like 30 years later.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by all that stuff. And DNA, holy crud, if you're a murderer, you're like, damn it, DNA, 30 years later?
They found it on the wig. They tested the DNA on that wig.
On the clown wig?
Yeah, and that was what did it.
As a kid, so 1990, I was pretty young. I was probably 12, 13 around that time. And, I mean, a clown that murders somebody, horrifying. I mean, it's crazy.
That's ultimate deception. I mean, clowns are supposed to be welcoming and fun.
I've never liked clowns.
Didn't you do that in your first horror movie?
We did. The clowns have murderous ways, and I've always been...
He's always harnessed that fear.
Yeah, since I was a kid, I always thought clowns are just kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
And I saw the original It at a very young age, and that was a very scary movie.
I grew up in Boca, so Wellington was a much different place in 1990
For sure.
than it is now.
I get lost in Wellington every time I'm on Wellington Trace.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I get so mad. I start punching my steering wheel. I'm like, no.
Dude, I've U-turned so many times in some sort of equestrian turnabout.
Oh yeah, you will end up in a place with horses in Wellington.
No, at any point in your travels, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful out there. I just can't navigate. And It's really tough for me.
Well, everything's out. Usually everything's on a grid everywhere in Florida, and you get to Wellington, and all of a sudden Forest Hill goes north and south. All of a sudden, you're like, what?
So I know you guys probably are pretty excited about this. Everyone's been waiting for these results. You guys want to know the voting for the rap of last week?
I already know.
Yeah.
Our audience doesn't know.
Oh, come on.
They don't know. So, Dennis, give me a drum roll. In third place, with 16.7% of the votes.
I was going to say, is that percentage or people?
Probably people. Mr. Ryan Beckett.
Thank you.
Very nice. Third place. You had the third best rap. Very good. You got the bronze, baby.
Thank you. I'm on the podium.
Denny's, give me that drum roll. In second place, Miss Vicky, 33%. And of course, rounding off the top is Mr. Denny's. Good job. I thought you guys did a really good job on those rap songs. That was a lot of fun. I'd like to do more stuff like that.
Yeah,
I voted for Denny's, by the way. Did you see my name? I put my name in there.
Oh,
I voted for Denny's.
I put him on the regular morning show. I gave him a spin. I said, dude, this is going on the real air. And I said, all right, Kevin, Virginia, vote. Do you think this is good or do you think it's bad? Because I'm really impressed by it. They didn't love it.
Really?
Nah,
but
that's not up their alley.
They're like
they're haters.
They're like the old people from the Muppets.
They are.
They hang out in the balcony. Oh, you suck.
heckle ya.
Yeah.
Haters.
I still stand by my statement. I thought the Dog Man was a jam.
Well, thanks.
Okay.
Next time you got to be in on it, though.
For sure. Yeah, we should think of another 4-player type.
Yeah, for sure. We can get into all that. I did want to ask you for an EVP update, Vicky.
Okay.
And we are talking about the one with my mom. People were wanting
Correct.
to know. Did you find any more information? Was more evidence? Did you find more evidence to support the EVP?
We had 5 recorders, and it is on 3 of the 5. But it's not on the other 2.
So what does that mean? Does that bode well for it being legit?
That bodes well for it being a true EVP.
Dennis, do
because
you have it on the iPad by any chance? Yeah, why would we want to have that? Why would we want to have that
Well,
ready to go?
Suits was out of town for a week, so I
Okay.
didn't have his computer to load the iPads, so I think it's on an email.
It's all good. Okay,
I can find it.
What did you find out, Vicky?
Just so people know, the room was probably, if we were lucky, it was maybe a 10 by 10. So in a 10 by 10 room with 5 recorders, you would think it would be on all 5 if it had been a background noise. Now, we took the EVPs that we captured at that residence, we took it to the client's house on Saturday for them to review all of them, and they could identify 99% of the voices on there, except for that one. Does not belong to anyone that they recognized.
Okay, so this all supports the EVP being legit in your
Correct.
professional opinion.
In this opinion, yeah.
Very nice. Okay, and the other follow-up, people just want to know, did you find any, I know you had said that you might have sensed my mother, her possibly being on the EVP. She's been trying to get a hold of you. Anything update on that?
Well, after we had an investigation, we had a reveal, and then we went back to my house, and 2 investigators investigated my room. And we have an EVP as soon as we get it cut and sent to you. It's not a Class A, so it's not as clear as the other. But someone asked, are you Jason Pennington's mom? And we do have a female that says yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's an update. Mr. Beckett, thoughts? Mr. Skeptic?
That's interesting. I didn't really think about the that it didn't pick up on all 5. I mean, I know she brought it up last time, but
Well, funny enough, Denny's, you could argue, is somewhat of a sound expert. He is a sound engineer. He's recorded
Sure.
for major bands. He does know a lot about sound.
after that rap song, I believe it.
He's usually a man behind the mic. Now he's a man in front
I
of the
like
mic.
the behind-the-scenes stuff,
Oh,
personally.
a big fan of the man in front of the mic. But you being, well-versed in sound, something records on 3 out of the 5. What would
that's
be your...
weird. You do hit hiccups occasionally. Are you guys recording to? Do you ever find if there's a difference if you record to tape or opposed to like digital?
We always use digital just because it's easier for us. I do have an old school tape recorder, and they say that you can get, off the charts EVPs, but that's, kind of inconvenient because then I can't take those and cut them as easily.
Absolutely.
And be able to give them to the client.
But you wonder if cassette would work better for EVP.
It's
only
supposed to.
in the sense that you're actually picking up actual frequencies and it's recording it analog opposed to a digital signal where I could see artifacting and stuff possibly make things sound different or altered from what was actually recorded, which is why I would see there would be a difference between 5 different recorders recording something.
Correct. And there's also a difference between what kind
Companies.
of recorder. Yeah, I mean, I prefer Sony. I've been using them since 2007, but I don't get the most expensive Sony. I find that the more expensive your recorder, the more likely it is it's going to cut out all that background
For
noise,
sure,
and
it
you're
has
going to miss your EVP.
post-processing. Exactly. So that's why I would wonder, in different companies, obviously, so some of them would catch frequencies that others wouldn't just because the manufacturers are built slightly different from each other.
But in that room, all of them were Sony except for one. There was an RCA.
And
That had an external Sony mic on it, though.
So the one that did catch it was one of the regular ones you use from Sony?
They were the RCA picked it up, and 2 Sonys picked it up, but the other 2 Sonys did not. And they're all basically the same quality because I paid the same price.
Yeah,
For sure,
They
for
go and they
sure, for
upgrade
sure.
them or whatever, but they're still basically the same model.
Yeah, I mean, it could totally pick up stuff. Audio recordings are, especially if you boost the audio or increase the gain or whatever, it totally...
And I believe they say that the audio is the best evidence you can get for a ghost these days, as far as
Well-
the EVP. I mean, with the, I guess, I mean, you could argue you could, without a doubt, manipulate audio with an EVP. You can.
With a skeptic, there's no good proof. Doesn't matter whether it's a picture, audio, video.
Well, you need to
for a skeptic,
you
there's
need to
nothing.
interview. You have to bring the ghost in and say, "Hey, ghost. Hey, man.
They'd
How's
still
it
think
going?"
it was a trick.
Yeah, it's almost like the ghost has to, I'm going to segue, has to throw in some ectoplasm on him or her, which leads me to my next question. Someone wanted to know, is ectoplasm on a ghost real? You know, on, Ghostbusters.
Or is it just like in movies?
Yeah, Slimer from Ghostbusters, homie slime somebody. Is that, do you ever come across ectoplasm?
I've never come across it in 10 years.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that in my experience, I've never come across it.
And is it possible to get pregnant by a ghost?
I haven't heard of anything conclusively.
So I apologize for these weird questions. This was after a couple nights of drinking. I was writing down some weird questions. I do want to know, though, you've never heard of someone getting impregnated by a ghost, other than obviously,
In the movies, but I've never come across a case where anybody thought that.
not even a case where someone was you've heard of this, maybe even in previous cases, because someone claimed that they knew someone who said the part of the email what gave me the idea for that question. They'd claimed to. Ghost had sex with them, and they weren't sure if it was the ghost baby or if it was the guy.
This you go on Mari,
You are.
Well, I better hope it's the guy, then they can get some child support
Sounds
because they're
like-
not going to get it from a ghost.
Sounds like the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah, it does sound biblical.
So on a
'cause
scale of Dogman being real and getting pregnant by a ghost, which one would you put?
I'd go with Dogman before I would.
Be more real.
Yeah.
I think Lizard Man's got to be a 10.
Of unbelievability
Yes.
here. Okay.
you think he's the most
If we're
unbelievable?
doing a scale, I'll kiss ass and say a 1's a Bigfoot and a 10's a Lizard Man.
Man, you have a lot of hate towards the lizard people.
You're not into the old creatures, the mystical creatures of any sort.
And are you able to catch a ghost? If you think you have a ghost, can you try to catch one?
Well, first of all, I would never try to because that's a person.
Okay.
I mean, a ghost is just someone who doesn't have their body anymore, but they're still the same essence of what they were. There are some people that believe that you can take certain kinds of equipment and you can use mirrors and you can use this and that and the other and trap them in a box, much like they did on Ghostbusters, but I don't hold a lot of validity to that.
Okay, I've got an email here where basically this is the first time Vicky has been called out.
I'm one of you now.
You are one of us now. you get called out pretty good.
Nice.
I do too. There's a dig for Denny's and there's a dig for Becky.
Nice. All in the same email?
Oh yeah.
I was
All
getting
right,
rapid fire.
So it's got this. I'd like to call out Vicky, seeing nobody else has the balls to do so. Okay, first of all, how can you try and talk Jaybird out of doing the exorcism? Just because you don't think he should do it doesn't mean that you're right. I think Jaybird should have done it, and shame on anyone who tried to talk him out of it. I thought Weird and Whatever was about getting down to the truth. I don't believe exorcisms are real and would have loved to see what type of evidence you guys could have brought back to maybe prove that they were. Also, you say stay away from Ouija boards, Vicky. Why? My friends have had great experiences using them, so why should I believe you over them? P.S. Jaybird, grow your balls back. You would have done the exorcism back in 2006. Now you suck. P.S. Quit mumbling into the microphone, Denny's. You sound like an idiot. PPS, Beckett, quit laughing into the microphone. You sound like an even bigger idiot.
I get that a lot.
Signed, get your shit together, weird and whatever.
That's pretty funny.
Well, dear, get your shit together. I'll go ahead and address, let's see, which part should I do first?
Let's go ahead.
Talking Jason out of the exorcism. Well, I didn't try to talk Jason out of the exorcism because I thought he was going to be possessed. I had suspicions about the origins of this so-called exorcism and that it involved, and Beckett was one of the first ones too to go, wow, it involved a supposed, alleged priest and a young girl. Well, that to me just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Because if a family really did have a child that they thought was possessed, the last thing they should be doing is worrying about getting it broadcast all over the radio. They should be worrying about bringing in the priest and getting their child healed.
Did you just give him a psychic beatdown? Is that what you just did? I mean, that was kind of like a in-your-face.
Our podcast is 18 and over. I think exorcism's got to be 18 over, too.
Okay, that's one issue. But I do want to say, because I did get, not in such a aggressive manner as the email. And look, man, I welcome all this kind of comments. Bring it on. I mean, we're all out here giving our opinions. You guys can give your opinions right back, and that's the way it needs to work. As far as people saying don't do the exorcism, I get it, because you guys are believers of that stuff. Correct. You guys believe in the spirit world. You believe in ghosts. So your mindset is set on one side of the spectrum. Now, there is a great big percentage of our audience that does not believe in ghosts. They don't believe in aliens. They don't believe in any of this stuff, and they do listen to this podcast because they find it entertaining. And I think you can listen to something and not believe in it, and still, it can keep your attention. I agree to a certain extent to when I should do things like maybe go do the exorcism to prove to people that maybe there is something there. I mean, I think that's at least a conversation to have, because I think there's a point there. If he's a non-believer and he wants to prove something, why would you not try to capture, get proof, and then try to make people believers if we are about truth? That's the one part I will sort of agree with on that.
You always got to consider the source, and hit him. The source of that email, he said he doesn't believe. So it's easier for him to say, why not do it? Because he doesn't believe in it. To your point, if someone believes in it, they're going to be they're going to be like, don't do that,
Yes, but again, though, we don't have concrete proof of anything we've talked about. We do it with a great EVP from Vicky. We've got theories. I mean, me and Denny were talking earlier today. A lot of everything is just theories from people.
For sure.
I mean, it's just someone's opinion on what they've gone through and their perspective. So, I think there is a point there to the non-believers. They're like, all right, I'm listening. I'm giving you guys a shot. Prove me wrong. I want to believe. Bring it on. Let's do it.
I would have been a bigger endorser if it had been an exorcism on an adult, not a child.
Understood. And I get that too. And just so people know, Vicky had nothing to do with me not doing the exorcism.
He never listens to me.
We had a hurricane. We had a bunch of stuff. And to be quite honest, after the hurricane, I have never heard from those people again. And I don't know if they were listening to us because they obviously would have heard a lot of negative backlash.
For sure.
I can't get a hold of them. So it wasn't meant to be. But yeah, Vicky had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, you should do something weird, dude.
No, we all need to do something.
Well,
weird.
I think we should take Beckett out to the Devil Tree.
You guys love that Devil Tree.
We do. A lot of people do email us about the Devil Tree. Did you want to address anything about the Ouija board?
The Ouija board. I could have a group of 100 people, and we could all jump off a bridge into a body of water. And it could be that 80% of us come out unscathed, and 20% of us somehow in a freak incident break our necks. That would be what I would say in regards to the Ouija. You're going to have people who can play with it and seemingly have no repercussions whatsoever, but there are too many stories out there and too much talk and experiments with it to make me have enough of a question mark to tell people, don't bother messing with it. Don't take the chance that you're going to be the one that jumps off the bridge and come out fine.
So no bullshit. You really do say don't go near the Ouija board. You really believe that? I
would not go near it. It's the way that you're communicating. It's the tool that you're using, and it's who is going to come forward. And there are nightmarish stories People are telling the truth. It's their reality, their perspective of what happened to them because of that board. And it's just not worth the risk.
All right, Denny's, because you've kind of morphed into one of the more of the skeptics on a lot of the stuff we talk about. Do you really think Ouija boards have a lot of, I mean, do you think this is a real thing? Vicky clearly does. Do you honestly think that there's power in Ouija board?
I don't know. So, I mean, the Ouija board dates way back. There's people making, obviously, like, simplified versions of it to communicate. So, I mean, the concept's been there long enough to where I could see. But also, I've seen, there's this one guy who was saying you can move things with your mind if you hold it on a string. It has some sort of heavy piece at the bottom. And if you concentrate hard enough, you can actually get it to move around kind of in the pattern that you want.
With the pendulum?
With the pendulum, exactly. But you almost wonder if it's
psychosomatic?
It's going through your arm, and you're not trying to, and you're not intentionally doing it, but since you are willing it and holding it, your body is reacting to the pendulum, or it could be the pendulum responding to your frequency you're giving out.
Because I've done the Ouija board before, and
many times.
Yeah, I've done it many times. I have, and there were times where I really thought it was moving on its own. Now, was I imagining that? It's like everything that I talk about. When I see a cardinal, when I'm down and out, is that my mom or is that Jaybird just looking for a cardinal and he found one? I mean,
but
on both sides here.
I mean, you get three people who are very much like you into it and want it to be real, and they're genuinely trying this thing out. I'm sure they could summon something to them, and I mean, I'm just saying.
I want
there's
your
a certain
honest
type
opinion.
of person that would get possessed, I would say, from that are more susceptible to it. The same like we were talking about the what do you call that? Hypnosis. I mean, that's almost like the same thing. I have, like I said, a friend who genuinely said that he was hypnotized. So you wonder if there is that.
And the same thing with paranormal investigating. Some people can investigate for 10 years and not have any, bad side effects. And other people, they go on their first investigation and bring home a demon,
Yeah.
It's just, it has to do with the person, the intent, and whatever happens to be around at the time that you use the device.
So the Mattel one, it looks cheap and stuff, but I guess ultimately it's still the same concept of if you were using a piece of glass.
Every time we talk about, there's always someone go, so you guys are really scared shitless over a game Mattel makes.
For sure. They got the license to it and produced it. But I mean, a plastic little thing is so much different to me than like, I don't know. I don't know why it would matter at all.
You being the other skeptic, do you hold any truth to the Ouija, Mr. Beckett?
I don't really believe in it. Like I go
You
back.
think it's silly? You think it's folklore and tall tales?
I do, but I wouldn't do it.
All right, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, you're no, it's not real, but I am.
Well, it's like.
It's like, why mess with
just
it?
just play on the safe side.
Yeah, I mean, something could happen. I don't know. Let's get a Ouija up in here.
You always do like a cost-benefit analysis, and there's no benefit.
You're right. If you don't do it or do it, there's no benefit or change to your life.
See, I mean,
the proverbial dice.
I would say let's bring a Ouija board in here, but I know Vicky would be uncomfortable with it. Kevin in Virginia, I talked about bringing a Ouija board in our old studio. And they're no,
it's
don't
weird.
You.
It's like
it's so
a superstitious item.
It
almost.
is, man. People
It's
don't
like a
want,
black cat. It's weird.
It is, man. Yeah. And maybe that's why maybe that's why there's ghosts and shit in my life, because I've done it before.
Yeah.
I don't know. A relationship question. If you truly found out your significant other, and I don't think we've covered this before, they were secretly into ghost porn. Like they got off on watching ghosts and, ghost documentary. That's what got them going. And you found out that was their thing. Are you into that? Does that weird you out, or is that just something where you just accept them how they are?
So they're into pornos made with ghost people?
Basically, they're using
or they're watching ghost documentaries, and that kind of gets them going.
Yeah, they're watching people acting as ghosts, and that really turns them on, and that is their thing.
I bet you can roll with that for a while.
And they're totally open about it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, there's girls out there that are, like, real into the macabre, I guess you could say. Like, they're into the serial killers, and they almost get aroused from it.
Would you, if you were dating someone like that, Vicky, and you found out that was his thing, are you weirded out?
He's like, yeah, ghost.
You find out that that's really how.
I mean, you think I'd really be into that?
Right, yeah.
But everything else about him was awesome.
The guy would be so turned on.
The guy is a great guy, but he just, I mean,
like, there's a ghost doc on, he's unbuttoning his shirt.
Oh yeah, he's putting on, Poltergeist. I was like, oh my gosh, oh, yeah.
Maybe if he just, kept it to himself and I didn't have to.
No, you know about it.
Oh, he wants you involved.
Eventually, his fantasy is going to creep into reality, as
There's
a
no
lot
way.
of times they do.
It's not gonna.
You're going to have to put a sheet on and boo. Do you do that for your man if you're into him?
No.
That's a deal breaker for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really? What?
I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
You'd think I'd be the other way, but no.
He's 100% awesome in everything. Great dresser, smells great, kind to your family. But oh man,
Still surprises you.
How often is this habit? I mean,
it
like
drives,
every
at
single
least-
time?
it drives him.
Yeah. It drives him.
It's his thing.
No, I'd still have, if that's like, because I mean,
Okay. 1 out of 5 times during relations, it has to get ghostly. Are you able
He's
to?
like, darling, you're so ghoulish. I'd get down with a ghost.
Oh my
wouldn't you?
gosh, I would be so into that. I mean, this is great. I would so not be
but
turned off.
don't you think it would be redundant though? I mean, you got to dress up in a sheet every 5 times?
No, you can. I mean, there's ways to mix it up. You
Oh,
can.
yeah.
You can be so many different types of ghosts.
All right,
And-
I'll try it out for a couple months and see how it works. Okay.
Dress like
I
Slimer.
mean, awfully judgy, Vicky.
No, you'd ask me if I would.
I'm totally kidding. It's an insane question. Beckett,
I'm into it.
you're into.
Yeah.
I knew.
Especially if the ghost bought one of those sex robots, he'd totally be into it.
Oh, Beckett's such a freak. I don't even think it's a closet freak. I think Beckett's a freak. All
Well,
right.
think about it. You have so much chips to barter with after that. It's
No.
not like she wants to bring another guy in the bedroom. She
Yeah,
just
you're
wants to
right.
bring a ghost. If it's benign, be like, all right.
Look, I am on team ghost sex. I'm in.
I dress up like Jacob Marley. Show up.
You're less worried about her cheating on you, too, if it's all ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, people are into all sorts of stuff. People like those How I Escaped documentary type shows.
Yeah.
I mean, there's girls that are into that stuff and guys. I'm sure they link up and
Oh,
get
what?
weird.
Just what in the role playing world?
They probably act out like.
Oh, role playing is. I think a lot of people don't talk about role playing.
Yeah.
I will.
Is it taboo?
I got a question. Let's bring it back down to a spiritual level. We have talked a little bit about angels, I believe, right? A little bit.
A little bit.
Do you guys believe? Do we talk about guardian angels before?
We've touched upon it.
Do you think every human walking this planet does have a guardian angel, or is that a bunch of horse shit?
I don't think each person's got a guardian angel. I mean, I guess a guardian angel could be metaphorically if your parents pass on or someone that you loved passed on. They're kind of watching over you.
Okay, Vicky, you dealing in the spirit realm. Is this a thing? Is this real?
I think we all have someone who watches out. I wouldn't necessarily put the label of angel on them, but I do think that we have spirits on the other side that watch out for us.
But okay, but how much are they watching out for us? They can't get involved in everything, and they can't probably even save you from death, because you could argue any tragedy that goes on, where the hell is my guardian angel? That someone would ask. That's what the naysayer would say, and I think it's a fair point. I think that it's an interesting thing to talk about as far as, do some people have it, and if only some people do have a guardian angel, why are they so lucky and other people aren't?
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't necessarily believe that person that watches over us is an angel. So therefore, they wouldn't have the capability to save our lives or things like that in most situations. They just couldn't interact like that.
How cool would it be though if the bum down the street, you give him $1, then all of a sudden he like lights up. I mean, that's what a lot of people think. How the angels would come down to earth.
Good
And they're
karma.
like, thank you for blessing me with this.
Yes.
And then they reward you with something.
Yeah, I don't know if it works that way.
Well, they say, in the mythology is that the gods used to come down and test people.
Yeah.
So do you think, that ever carried over into any other religion?
It's kind of like that. I don't know, guys. Have you ever seen that show, What Would You Do? It's where they put people into
With money, right?
What it is they'll have actors set up, and they'll be in a real situation, and these actors get into a horrible confrontation. Like one was the mom is talking to the daughter because she's too fat and she can't fit in the wedding dress, and she'll go, "You need to lose weight because you're a porker."
And they see if you step in?
Yeah, and they wait to see if you step in, and then when someone does step in, the guy comes out, "You are a great Samaritan. Thank you for doing that." But I always love it when the one person doesn't do the right thing. I'm like, I
like,
agree
"Fuck
with you.
this."
Yeah, she does look fat. She is a porker. And then they actually have the balls to go on camera and get interviewed.
Ugh.
Like, I just thought she was fat. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. It's kind of like that concept.
It's a great
Eddie.
psychology.
I love it. I love it. I want to watch this.
That's the guardian angel kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
Or give the dollar to the homeless guy to test you.
God, imagine making the wrong choice and being on TV and being like, damn.
There was one where someone didn't stick up. Someone was really being persecuted in a diner, and the person did not stand up for the person. And then they agreed with the mean person on the views. And then they had the balls to go on camera and say, sorry, man, it's just my belief.
I mean, you got to ride it out to the end if you've gone that far.
And then there's other people that go, well, I didn't know that. I didn't want to get involved, and I was kind of scared. It is kind of messed up, though.
That's real messed up. That's shaming.
You get called out
Gosh.
for not doing the right thing. I want to do a little game. It's called One Up. Now, I'll give you a quick example of how you play One Up. For example, if I did pizza toppings, I would start it off with pepperoni. Then Beckett's got to say one.
Cheese.
Okay. Then Vicky,
Sausage.
and then
Mushrooms.
Okay. Now, if you have a repeat or if you go longer than 3 seconds, you are out. So that's how we're going to do that. And I guess we'll do last man standing. So, for example, if we do a topic and Beckett gets out first, we'll go on to another topic with the remaining players.
All right.
Do you guys understand the rules? Mm-hmm. All right, we're all going to be playing this.
Unless I purposely get out.
We're going
Are
clockwise.
we going clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Let's go clockwise.
All right.
All right. One up. Ghost or paranormal movies? Let's start with Beckett.
Shining.
Oh, okay. So
I got you.
well, it took me a second to
Did I explain
to figure
the
it
game? Did I
out.
explain the game wrong?
No, you did fine. I get it now. We have to name something in that category.
Okay, let's do that again. All right, starting with Denny.
Off to a good start.
And would Shining count for paranormal ghosts?
Of course.
Well, yeah, it's got
Yeah,
ghosts in
yeah,
it.
you're right. Okay, I'm being tough. I'm sorry. My bad. You're right.
Beckett's in the room, man.
I'm being a dick. All right, Denny's paranormal or ghost movie.
So what did Becky
You
say?
start now.
I'm starting.
Yeah, we'll go this way.
All right, let's do
Well, this is going great.
The Omen.
Poltergeist.
What Lies Beneath.
Legend of Hell House.
Legend with Tom Cruise.
The Hills Have Eyes.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Haunted Mansion.
Frighteners.
The Haunting.
The Ring.
This game.
The Conjuring.
This game sucks.
The Ring 2.
I'm punting on this game. This game sucks.
Pick a hard category.
Was that a hard?
Well, it was so broad. We had two options in the one title.
That was a lot. That was too easy.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. How
I
about
was
this?
running out of ideas.
How about this? All right. Cryptozoology creatures.
All right. See, that's
We'll try
tough.
this one more time. If it goes terrible, we'll stop. Starting with Vicky.
Jersey Devil.
The Dog Man.
Sasquatch.
Lizard Man.
Bringing awareness.
Loch Ness.
Fairies.
Skunk ape.
I'm out.
Say it Boggart or something.
Oh,
What
there's
else
so-
is there?
Unicorn.
Loch Ness monster, unicorn, mermaid, shit,
Chupacabra.
Oh, just like
Chupacabra.
Fable. I was thinking about ones we've talked about.
Yeti.
That's actually one of the other topics. It was topics we've discussed on the Weird or Whatever podcast, but I think I want to punt on this game.
That was fun though while it lasted.
We do get a lot of emails about animal stuff, animals crossing over to the other side. Your story about your teacher talking about how your dogs or animals don't go to heaven.
Right.
People that resonate with people because
yeah.
they've been told the same kind of thing growing up. Animals don't go to heaven. People, if you're not an animal person, I don't think you understand an animal bond. Like, my mom was not an animal person. She didn't like animals. My dad was a huge animal person. He'd get emotional with animals. If you don't have that tie, I don't think you get this.
Right. I agree with
Now,
that.
the one question somebody had was, can you be a soulmate with an animal?
I guess you have to define soulmate.
All right,
How would you define soulmate?
How would you define it?
I think you can have a soul bond with an animal.
I think people tend to think about a soulmate as a romantic thing, and that's how I usually think about it.
Interesting, because I kind of don't. I feel like soulmates are people, and I always think that it's soulmates, not soulmate. I think you can have a lot of soulmates. Those are people that you connect with just with your spirit.
So you don't
guy,
think
girl, anybody. I don't really kind of put romantic.
You don't apply it to.
So
No.
it doesn't always have to be like a lover.
No, I don't personally think so.
It could be a friend.
Just someone you
or-
gel with.
Denny's is a soulmate. There's no way me and him are not somehow like we're soul brothers. We really are.
For
Right,
sure.
right, right.
So I think, and I've had that relationship with other types of people. So I do think you can have a soul relationship, soulmates.
So in that case, then yes, I've seen some dogs that have interactions like with the wounded warriors and like the PTSD dogs.
For sure.
And the bonds that certain dogs have that person didn't have that same. They're a dog lover and they had great relationships with other dogs, but there was that one dog that was just like an amazing, intense, like really cool friendship.
Well, there's that one video of that guy trained this lion forever, and then he went away for a few years, and then they let the lion back out in the prairie.
Yeah, Christian, wasn't it?
I can't remember. That does
Yeah, it was
sound
amazing.
familiar. And then he sees him again like years later, and
Yeah.
he runs up. You're like, oh shit, he's gonna eat him?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna lick him. They love each other. That stuff's pretty darn cool.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
great.
Isn't lion supposed to eat man?
Yeah. No, it's great.
If I'm walking down in a prairie and I come up next to a lion, there's 9 out of 10 times, is it probably gonna eat me? You think?
Depends if
that's a
they
good
just
question.
ate. If they just ate, they're not gonna mess with
I
you.
just don't think that scenario happens that often. So it's hard to like.
Where people roll up on a lion?
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Vicky, what about soulmates and animals?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, is part of it humans wanting to believe that? Or, you can train a dog to really love you and, oh, yeah, it's so loyal unconditionally. Is that something that humans are doing to make themselves feel better? Or there can be a true bond with an animal in the afterlife? You guys you guys get each other's soul.
I think there can be a true bond. I don't think that you can teach. I mean, sure, your animal knows that you're the one that controls the food, so they have that initial bond with you, but I don't think you can teach them to love you,
I mean, I 100% agree that animals can be a soulmate. I mean, I really do. I think there's, we talk about animals a lot on the podcast and they're genius. But yeah, there's some animals that are super wicked smart, man. Elephants, they're smart as shit.
Dolphin are phenomenally smart.
Let's see here. Do you guys have any homework I want to ask you? Anyone want to bring anything up?
Yeah, I mean, I got.
Don't everyone jump in at once. What do you got, Denny's?
Well, I was gonna query with you guys. What are your thoughts about creating animals
Oh,
in
cloning.
a test tube via cloning?
That's a very.
What are your thoughts on the ethics of that one?
I don't think we should be messing with that kind of shit, man.
Because we already test tube create vegetables.
Well, look what we do with the internet. I think I hate to sound cliche, and I even hate to sound jaded, but I just feel like humans are gonna do shitty stuff with it, man.
Well, yeah, for sure. But
there's way too many homeless pets already. Why would we create more pets?
well, the reason they would create animals is for harvesting, not necessarily for like pets and stuff.
For food.
So just
and all
for
that.
food?
Creating for more food.
I just think we're messing with stuff that I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old school, but if we were able to clone another Vicky, what happens if this Vicky is just shit nuts and she's I'm using my psychic powers for bad? I don't know, man.
Hey, man, I'm not spearheading this project. I'm
Well,
saying.
you asked us what our thoughts were.
Yeah. So you think it's bad?
I just here I'm the guy that
What
wants
about
to do.
the benefits of growing a limb for somebody?
I mean, that's pretty awesome. I see. That's a plus category.
I think it just depends on the purpose, right? Like if you're just gonna do animals to slaughter them, I think that's messed up.
Yeah.
I could make a case maybe if something was extinct not because of an asteroid or something like that, but because of the dodo bird, because we deforested or
For sure.
we overhunted, and like that was a way to bring two back and have them naturally procreate from there. Like I can get on board with that.
Or even like a Jurassic Park situation?
I don't know, because I think it's something that what Jurassic Park brought something back that naturally was extinct, right? Supposedly humans didn't exist when dinosaurs.
Oh, for sure. You're saying so animals that we have personally
Yeah, like if
become-
we hunted off because of deforestation or human impact, like white tiger was extinct because of something we did, and that was a way to like sustain their population, then I get on board with that.
What about cloning humans, though? I mean, I think that does that get weird? Does that get kind of?
Again, I just don't understand the point. Like what? Like I agree with you. I think you're opening Pandora's box, and unless we're trying to save the human race, like why?
Well,
like,
what if someone wanted to clone humans to make them into an army? You know,
that's believable.
Yeah, that way we don't have to send people out. We can now send our clones out. But
Yeah.
then you wonder, what about the clones' lives?
Well, I mean, I guess you go into the debate. Well, then if you then are given the knowledge to clone something, isn't that your right to then you're figuring it out? It's almost like figuring out the internet and all that stuff. If you've got the capacity to figure these kind of things out, is that not progression? You know, does it freak me out because it's such an unheard concept, and I'm like, cloning people?
yeah, like
That's
right now you
scary.
hear that in 50 or 60 years it might be a common.
Well, what if I'm born
low-level practice.
What if you're a kid born into cloning? Like, okay, for example, if you were born always to say the best thing to eat in America are these fried roaches. I mean, fried roaches and fried rat tail. And I know those are famous and people eat them in other countries, but in our country, eating roaches, that's a gross thing. We were like, what? But if you were born into everyone eating roaches, that would not be weird to you. It would not be gross to you.
Nah.
It'd be common. So if you were born into everybody cloning stuff and cloning people, that would not be weird. It's like kids that are born with the internet. They've been. It's not weird to them.
What if, and bear with me, what if in the future, when everybody's born, they make a clone of them and they keep them in a hospital, a central hospital on a planet, and when you get sick or anything happens to you, they harvest organs from that clone, thus expanding human life much farther than it goes now? What do you think, though?
I think it's slavery.
It's super unethical, but but I mean, hey, there is some advantages. People can get limbs. You lose an arm, you can have an arm reattached.
I'm all for that. I mean, to me, that if someone doesn't have an arm and they're able to now have an arm, or they can grow an eye, I think that is great. I guess you have to do. You have to learn and progress with science, and I mean, how they got to that point, and how they could even how do you even get to that point, and how do you get to be that smart to say this is how we have to clone people, and let's nail it?
Cracking the genome.
It's crazy, man.
Well, that's what someone asked me. Someone asked me if because now they're starting to grow organs, like that's like a real
For sure,
thing.
it's part of they cracked the DNA.
So now they can grow meat,
Yeah.
animal meat. So since I'm a veg, they're like, well, would you eat animal meat if it wasn't from a killed animal? It's like, well, the reason I did it was for health originally, not for whatever, but probably not. Like it's
still meat.
It's bizarre because it's out of our realm, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I thought I'd hit you guys with that.
Whoa, dude, that was heavy.
yeah, it's just another ethical thing we're gonna have to deal with later in life.
But I mean, at some point that will come up in the human race, and they're gonna have to talk about it and debate it.
Totally.
Get some would you rather questions. You guys ready?
I like this.
All right. Would you rather have a full-on orgy with the lizard people that lasted for 3 days? I was real drunk when I wrote
Mind you,
these
they're
up.
like 7.5 feet tall.
I had a couple in me.
They're like Avatar height.
A couple
All right.
lizardmen.
So would you rather have a full-on, let me say that one again. Would you rather have a full-on orgy with the lizard people that lasted for 3 days and everything goes?
All
I think
right.
you guys know what I mean by that. I mean, everything under the sun's going to be going
Getting
down.
some tail.
I mean, yeah. Would you rather, and you only have these two options. You have to pick
I see
one.
what you did there.
Or
Yeah.
have an extremely evil demon spoon with you every time you fall asleep. This lasts for 10 years. However, no sex involved. But every night you go to bed, every
Does he
time
like taunt you?
every time you fall asleep, the demon is spooning you, and you hear it breathing.
I'd go orgy party with the lizardmen.
With 3 day, I mean, it is a 3 day Friday to Sunday. Beckett,
You're gonna have to ice yourself.
It's like
everything you're
Bonnaroo.
thinking of is gonna happen. Everything you're thinking of.
I'm in.
You're in. I didn't. But okay, the last part of that question is, but it's filmed and everyone knows about it.
It's on the internet.
It's on the internet. The other thing no one knows about.
The demon knowing.
Demon. I mean,
I think the demon's gonna mess up my sex life anyway.
It's 10 years. You're a
Well,
different man after
and maybe
that.
I'll pull like a Paris Hilton and like it'll kind of like break me out.
Well, the demon's not going to be there for sex. The demon's only there when you're about to, right when you're going
purely
under.
platonic.
Yeah, if you're going into a nap, as soon as you start to like kind of go under, and that's for 10 years, man.
Wait, what if I have a girl in the bed?
Dude, she's got a demon right next to her.
Yeah, no, see, that's it. That's the deal breaker.
Just say you're going full on.
Yeah.
3-day. All right, Vicky.
Just get it over with.
Orgy.
You freak. I knew Vicky was a freak. Okay. I should have made it, instead of 3 days, I should have made it 3 years.
Yeah, for real.
All right,
10
Denny.
years is way too long for anything.
Denny's all right. What do you got?
All right. What would you rather?
Do you do lizard men or the demon?
Oh, I already jumped on board with the lizard man.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, for shits and giggles,
Can't be lizard women.
let's make it.
They're all
It's
men.
lizard
They're
people.
all
It's
men.
men. It's women. Let's make it 5 years. If it was 5 years of every weekend for 5 years, you had that.
Yeah.
You still take that.
Why? Well, now that you said there was lizard women, I think it's a little bit more palatable.
But with the lizard women, though, they have 10 arms and they scratch your back, and it
Like in a nice way or a bad way?
bad. It's such a bad way. And every time they scratch you,
Like they're climbing over you.
that part of your skin turns into lizard scales.
Do I get any lizard powers?
No. You're basically just a
You
lizard.
get that neck thing that comes out. That's it.
You get the lizard neck. By the way, I do not like lizard salami neck. Those things, that grosses me out. I hate when lizards have salami
There's
neck.
one type of lizard that's so macho, it comes out and it like does push-ups and then it frills its neck like it's all
We
hot
have
shit.
all of our lizards where we live at. They're the biggest assholes. They're bullies.
They are.
The squirrels are bullies, and so are our lizards.
They are. They're tyrannical. They just run around.
They're on roids, man. And Denny's just right. They'll do push-ups. It's
They're like,
crazy.
"What, bitch?"
And then all of a sudden they thought they're salami neck.
Yeah, I
amazing.
can't handle it.
All right. Okay. I Vicky, I did expand it to 5 years. Did you change your answer?
What actually made me change my answer was a scratching thing. So
Okay.
I'll go with the demon.
Going
then.
demon, Denny's.
I'm not changing it. I'm still riding it. The demon, it's too much. 10 years of that while you're trying to sleep. It's just not happening.
All right, here's another would you rather. Would you rather live all of eternity as a very grumpy vampire, meaning you're here forever as a grumpy vampire, not murderous? It's kind of like you're always in a pissy mood and you're a vampire, or die by getting eaten by zombies sometime before 2019.
Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Really, you'd rather live
Grumpy vampire. Yeah,
for you guys for the rest of eternity?
yeah,
I
because the
guess
other
you
one
do
were
live-
dead in 2 years.
But you
live
could cross over to
forever.
a lighter side. You're not stuck as a vamp. You die by the zombies, but then you go into the light.
But
That's
I
true.
thought we talked about if you get attacked by zombies, then you become one.
You will give you a no zombie rule. You don't turn into a zombie. You just
So
die.
what happens to zombie souls?
That's a Vicky question.
Is it lost? Is it just gone? It falls into just limbo?
There are
Technically, they're dead, right?
there are
Yeah,
some people.
so they die. Yeah, you think their soul would pass
Yeah,
on,
their
right?
soul's already
but
out.
their body
Yeah.
is still somehow animated.
There is a legit community that does believe in zombies, and I guess in a sense you could argue that they could be possible with a government.
Chemical warfare zombies.
I mean, could that technically be possible? Could you take a dead person and then bring them back to life with a chemical and making them all crazy?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Would you?
Really? You could bring someone back
I
from
bet you could.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mary Shelley, man.
You never know what's possible these days. They just there was a guy that was in a vegetative state for some crazy. I can pull up the article. It's like 8 years, and they gave him like some kind of stimulation in his lower spinal cord, and they started to get some reaction out of him, which is crazy.
Well, I mean, you can move limbs with electricity. So there's this cool contraption. I don't know how you get your hands on it, but you put these, I forget what they're called, those little stickers that connect the wires. You connect them to certain points on your head, and then you connect them to certain points on your arm, and then you have a person sitting next to you with a machine shared in the center, and they do the same thing, and you can move your arm and control their arm through electrodes. So, I mean, there is minor pulses of electricity, which I guess the term, where something fires in your brain or a synapse. I think it's a little electrical currents. We produce energy.
Were you telling me that, were you, as a kid, were you scared of zombies or did you love zombies?
Zombies weren't like that hip when I was a kid, weirdly. It was a more recent movement.
As a kid, did you have something that horrified you, that scared the shit? Has it always been spiders?
Yeah, well, spiders, I think, from the house I was living in as a kid, I woke up many nights with them, like, on the wall, and I see it, and it freaked me out. I had to call my parents to come in, and then I was, like, always afraid that I'd wake up and there'd be a spider on the wall.
Did you have what was your childhood fears that you were afraid of?
It sounds really strange, but my dad used to like watching Westerns. And in those, they depicted Native Americans with the full headdress and, the tomahawk and all that. I had a fear of Native Americans. I used to have a game plan if they broke into the house where I was going to hide so I didn't get killed by, before we used to call them Indians.
Isn't it amazing?
That was my fear.
What a super random one.
What did you say, Beckett?
It's amazing how television can shape a kid's mind or people's mind.
Oh, yeah.
It really actually can.
And
I mean, it's your
perspectives.
world. Yeah, that's what you're seeing.
I watched way too much crazy shit growing up. I mean, I remember being 7 or 8, knowing about Ted Bundy, and I as a kid,
That's probably where your fear of serial killers and your interest also came from.
I definitely was exposed to too much of that. I mean, my parents didn't do that on purpose. It wasn't like they were trying to. I just think the TV was on growing up, and back in the 80s, a lot of times you just that's how it was.
It was different, yeah.
Yeah,
The rating system was different too.
I remember the worst nightmare I ever had. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was hosting a party with all of these girls in prom dresses, and I was in this tuxedo as this 9-year-old, and it's a cocktail party at my house in Lake Park. It's just me. I'm running everything, and slowly, as I'm realizing what's happening, every girl in a prom dress is a victim of Ted Bundy, and they're all dead in their prom dress. And I remember there was one girl that for whatever reason as a kid, the whole story scared the shit out of me. And right as I was going to tap her on the shoulder, she turns around with this dead face, and I woke up. And that was one of those dreams. 30 years later, I still remember
Reoccurring.
it. It scared the piss out of me. Have you guys ever had a dream like that where... Because, I mean, I was going to actually bring up... recently, a lot that's been happening to me, I feel someone's grabbing me while I'm sleeping. Like they're physically pulling me out. Does that sound like that's anything ghostly?
Well, I mean, you have night terrors too.
Is that connected, or is that just psycho problems?
I mean, it could be related. I don't really feel like, if you had a spirit in your home, yeah, they could be messing with you. But I'd kind of look, since you have a history of night terrors, I'd kind of look that it's connected to that somehow.
I agree with that. I agree. But it does, I mean, some people, sleep problems and sleep stuff is another thing people email like crazy. And there's other people that do have that. They'll go under it, and it feels like someone's got arms around you, and they are literally pulling you out of your dream, out of your sleep, and you wake up, and you're like, shit, was someone just grabbing me? That's what it feels like. That's what I have.
So there's like 5 phases when you fall asleep before you actually, like your whole cycle, I guess you could say. So like the first 2 are like light sleep, and then they fall into heavy sleep, and then you hit REM, goes back up to heavy, goes back down to REM, and then it jumps back up. If you complete the cycle, you feel great. If you don't, or you interrupt it somewhere, it messes you up. I think it messes you up because there's a chemical that secretes through your muscles to kind of paralyze you while you're sleeping. So when you're having vivid dreams and you're in your subconscious, you don't move around a lot. So you wonder if you have a deficiency in that chemical, or maybe the fear of falling into that deep sleep, because it kind of gives you a mild falling sensation for a second. Maybe that scares you, and every time you hit that, you wake up.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because you don't really have night terrors. You said that you don't have night terrors, Beckett.
Not often.
Yeah, and you don't either. That's crazy.
Oh, a nightmare every like 8 years.
That's so crazy to me. I have at least 4 a week, at least.
As a kid, I used to be actually in lucidly awake, be scared, I told you before, of aliens. And then I had some bad dreams, especially after Fire in the Sky, that movie.
Can you guys
It
control?
rekindled them.
Can you control your dreams? I can control my dreams. I think we have talked a little bit about that
lucid
before.
dreaming.
I want to do lucid dreaming. I can sometimes control it by thinking about it before I go to sleep. Or if I have a test, then I involuntarily sometimes
Yeah, we get people who are always emailing that they have that sleep paralysis where they're sleeping and they're under.
For sure.
But it's in real time. So if you fell asleep right now, Ryan, we're talking, but you are under, and it seems like it's real. And then this guy with an axe is like shaving me, and you're like, "What the hell's going on?" And then you come to.
Yeah.
I've had that before. That's freaky.
Oh, yeah.
And that weird thing we talked about too, with people have that. They always feel like they're in a dream when they're alive. It's almost like a constant anxiety. We have a lot of people that have that condition. I didn't realize it was so common.
What's it called?
Oh gosh, Ryan. I had it written down before.
I'm curious.
Something
We talked about it.
We did.
Okay,
We
good.
talked about it. Yeah. You were gonna say something, Vicky?
Are you sure that it's someone pulling you, or is it maybe it's just you coming back into your body? Maybe you were astral projecting,
out
and
of
that's
body.
you, and you're mistaking it for someone pulling you, and it's really you kind of coming into your body and doing it awkwardly.
Look, I am open. I'm open to all of it because I'm sure I would do it awkwardly. I can only express how it feels, and it just feels like someone's ripping me out of my sleep. Like they're almost like, don't go in that dream room. So I don't know how else to explain it.
I can fall asleep, not to brag, but I can fall asleep so easily. It's insane. Like so I've read some things about sleeping techniques, things that you can do to just help you fall asleep, and I found that they work pretty well over time. I mean, there's a whole thing you do, and then it just kind of like teaches you how to do it, I guess. But there's a certain sensation that once I feel, you can tell it's going to happen like in the next like 20 seconds. I don't know if you guys ever did. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just.
No, it's interesting.
I don't know if you guys.
I wish.
Is it-
I have a tough time falling.
is it-
Figured you guys should know.
Is it interesting, Beckett?
It might have been going somewhere at first.
I kind of like when Denny says something that it's met with silence. No, man, I think you're an enlightened cat. I hear what you're saying, man.
I hear
and I
it.
think you're awesome. I think you're funny too.
All right, whatever.
Okay, I have a little something if you don't mind.
Bring it.
And this is for our listeners, and I want to. Hopefully, we'll get some responses.
Okay.
This is a situation that happened. I live in a neighborhood. I live on 2.5 acres. The neighborhood is just basically a horseshoe shape. It's been there since, well, we were one of the first people to build out there in 1965. And unfortunately, part of the neighborhood has been taken up with a development like in the middle of the horseshoe. Anyway, my shaman has been out in the neighborhood several times, and she said it has really weird energy patterns. It just feels kind of strange. And for a horseshoe type neighborhood that's not all that big, we've had several suicides, lots of accidental deaths, lots of cases of cancer. More than one person has seen a UFO there, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera.
And this is where?
In my neighborhood,
Okay.
in Lake Worth.
All right, let's get into this.
So
You're living in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
it is kind of strange. Now, the shaman says that the only place that doesn't feel that way is actually my house. Once you get on my property, it's different. It doesn't feel like that. It feels protected. It's different from the rest of the neighborhood. So, and I hope she doesn't mind me calling her out. The other night, Bobby Joe, like I said, we did the double investigation.
Bobby Joe.
And we went to my house, finished up, and then she got ready to leave. Well, the last session we were doing in the bedroom, she was asking the questions. I was quiet because I wasn't allowed to. We heard this noise, and I thought at 2:30 in the morning someone was having a party. And we were like, what is that? She gets up, she opens the door, and she realizes that it's a bunch of dogs going crazy. I mean, completely, nuts. There was at least 2 large dogs, 2 small dogs, and believe it or not, then in the middle of all this, the rooster started to crow. And it's like 2:30 in the morning because somebody has a rooster. So we finish up what we're doing. She leaves. It is 3:31 a.m. And I forgot to tell her to close the gate. So I call her at 3:31 and I say, oh, hey, sorry, hope you haven't gotten too far. Can you close the gate? So she says, sure, let me back up. At 3:33, she calls me back, shaking, terrified. She said she backed up and she pulled into my driveway so that her headlights were facing east of my road, and the headlights were facing towards my gate. She got out of the car. She was covered head to toe in goosebumps. She quickly closed the gate and turned and looked towards the east. She saw this huge, dark figure down the road in the middle of the street.
Was it earthly?
Her first thought was that she was looking at something strange like a hairy alien or a Bigfoot type thing. But overall, she got the impression she was not supposed to see it. So she quickly got into her car. She backed up. She did not look in the rearview mirror. In fact, she tilted her rearview mirror because she thought that if she looked in the mirror, she was going to see this thing rushing at her. She calls me and tells me what happened. Listen, it takes a whole lot to scare her. And she was on the phone for quite a while with me. She still had goosebumps, and you could tell she was still very upset.
Would you go out there, Beckett?
No.
You wouldn't go out there, really?
During the day.
Oh, bitch boy Becca, no.
I'll go out with you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Would you?
I'd have to be with you guys, and
I would. I'd go out there. I like to. I mean, if there is some stuff going out there, it sounds like she did an episode of Stranger Things, and that's what it sounds like. I mean, one of those kind of crazy towns you live in. I would love to check it out. If there's an energy.
I mean,
I'd
I've
like to try to
always,
summon it,
like in
summon
the middle
it.
of the night, I'll take garbage down my driveway, which is about an acre to go from my house down to the drive. I mean, I'll go out, 12, 1 o'clock carrying a bag of groceries to the can, and I don't think anything about it. Even as a kid, my neighbor who lived across the street, he did not like it if we were, playing and it got dark and he had to walk from my house to his. I never had a problem walking from his house to mine, however. But I don't know. Now, we do have reports that there is a coyote in our neighborhood.
And he's 11 feet tall.
Exactly. Well, I could understand that would explain the dogs going crazy and the rooster crowing.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I would like to, our whole thing here is get these stories and try to figure out if we can get some kind of proof, some kind of evidence. I would love to go out there. See, my initial thought would be, all right, let's do a seance out there. Let's try to bring that thing out. Let's conjure some spirits.
Jeez.
But hey, look, that's just me. Well, I would like to look. I mean, there's only so much talking we can do. We gotta bring a damn ghost to these people.
For sure.
God, I'll
I'd
send
like
this
to
hate mail.
I'd like to scope it.
Dude, you're gonna get hate mail no matter what. That's just part of the game. Did you get hate mail for your reality show, or did it not work that way?
Yeah, but I didn't have a ton of TV time. Like, I didn't really rock the boat. Like, I kind of stayed out of drama, so I wasn't really polarizing.
Because I'd figure on a national level, people would just be so vicious. I mean,
People. I've made a couple dad jokes. I got shit about that, and yeah.
yeah, but that's not. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, we're the people of the Big Brother season. I'll keep this quick, but they all got out of the house, and that's where they're recording 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Every little thing you say is recorded.
Geez, it's all
Yeah.
microscoped.
They're all back in the real world going, holy shit, people think I am an asshole. I got to do some cleaning up here. Every one of them saying that.
I did hear they're gonna do Bachelor Winter Games coming up.
Are you in?
I don't think so. But I said the same thing about Paradise. I was like, I'm never doing that.
Oh,
stuff again.
if they said, hey, man, do you want to do it?
You're like, for sure.
You got to do it, man. You got to do it.
Snowboarding and dating.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
The one thing we did get some emails of people that wanted to have some experts on the podcast, and I completely agree. We're going to have some experts on there, just so the audience knows. My whole goal in the beginning was to get everyone listening, to get to know everyone here, to get Brian and to get to know Vicky, and you guys know Denny's. But collectively, I wanted us to kind of have you guys get to know everyone's personality. We will have experts on. I would say probably in another month or so. We are very busy with finishing this movie up that we've got coming up for Halloween, the KVJ movie. I'll let you guys know about when you guys are going to be filmed.
Okay.
But yeah, we do intend to bring some experts on here. It's just a matter of having it to be the right time. And you guys haven't really even got to meet our producer, Angelica, we never really talk about her, but I say we give it up for Angelica, who is our producer. She travels an hour from Broward every time to do this. And she's awesome. So much love to her. Do you guys have anything before we wrap up? Because we've been going over an hour.
Tomorrow night, I usually don't plug things, but tomorrow night at Salt 7 in Delray, doing a fundraiser for Tri-County Animal Rescue. It's called Cocktails for Canines.
Oh, very
and
clever.
it's the 5th annual one.
Arf, arf.
And it's always a really fun event. They get a ton of people. There's like 6 guys. Like if I'm triple Z list on the Bachelor world, like they have some like A and B star Bachelor people coming. So
Okay, very cool.
It should be a blast, and it's for a really good cause. And that's tomorrow night at Salt 7 at 7 o'clock.
Tomorrow night
Very
being
cool, Delray.
Thursday, that's Thursday, October 5th. Is that what that is?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
is the
is.
5th. Yep.
Vicky came out to Blue Martini doing
She
our cocktails and
did.
karaoke. I apologize if I was a little out of it or if I was a little snappy. That was literally the day I hurt I don't even think you saw this, Mr. Beckett. I ripped a ligament in my leg, and falling down my
Bird
stairs.
was on some painkillers.
And someone stepped on my foot, and then someone else, and I got kind of snappy. So I apologize to anyone I snapped at Blue Martini. That was not my goal, but I was in such a weird state.
Oh, that was a rough day.
But thank you for coming out.
No, it was cool because like all of you have exposure and people know who you are and they say things. But that was my first time where people came up to me and
Oh
they were like,
yeah.
that's Vicky. And,
Oh yeah, people are
and-
going ape shit.
They
back
were,
then.
man.
Oh my god, it's Vicky. Oh my god, it's like a Michael Jackson concert.
It was.
That's awesome.
It was.
Yeah, no, it was great. So thank you to everybody that came out and that was excited to meet Vicky. And do you have anything to add? Anything to
No,
plug?
just
Nothing?
thank you. Be patient with my answering emails, please, because it's marching season. So I have competitions and football games and all that kind of stuff with my kids, and I will get to you as soon as I can.
Denny's, anything to add on?
Hit me up at Producer Denny's.
What's that on Twitter?
On Twitter. You can hit up Facebook as well. I'm not on the gram. I'm not on the chat.
And I am at Jason Bigfoot. Thank you guys for listening. We love you all oh so much. And remember, Bigfoot is real.
Listen up, y'all.
That's got the beginning.
Wrong
on it.
song, Denny's.